Okay, so at the drill press, I need to get the nibs to cover and fit these the bottom and the upper pieces covered with the carbon fiber. Now the reason we're here is because we're going to be using 18 of these nibs. Now if you look at the angle is pretty tight. So if I put that on there, you can see how much of a difference that is in a crown. So we need to flatten those out a bit without making them too flat. So the best way to do it is, of course, with a jig. So nothing fancy. I'm just using a piece of off-cut acrylic. You could do this with a wooden dowel or even a piece of ebonite. This is just a piece of scrap right there. Throw it in. And I want to make sure I work that over pretty good front to back. And you can see how much of an angle that has changed. If I drop that on there now, you can see that that is contoured nicely to that. So anyway, that's how we do that. 17 more to go. So to make sure we have even lines all the way across, our nibs are lined up correctly, we're going to need another jig. If you've seen this in one of my other videos, you know how it works. The dark lines represents 5 for the upper, and the light colored lines with the numbers represent 4 for the lower. So how we're going to do that, we're going to use one of the tail pieces. I'm going to pop that in the end, insert that in here, just tighten that down. Now that can still spin, so we're going to use the live center. We're going to crank it down with some pressure. Now that's not going to spin very much on us. Oops, let me tighten this down a little bit better. So now I can put my stick on the end here, and then I can line that up to get my registration marks. I'm going to use this line here where it says disc, and I'm going to line that up with this here. So this is how this works. This is clamped to the bottom with just a spring clamp. It goes up to my disc. That line marks here. Then I'll scribe it across here using my tool rest as a guide. Once I put that on there, then I'll rotate this to the next line. I'll mark that and repeat the process all the way around. Okay, so I'm on the first line, which I have marked A. I just marked those. Second one is B, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to use a marker, go across the line, and that is just a regular permanent Sharpie. So line that up on B. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but that's okay. I can see them. Then we'll just do the next thing. Okay, all we have to do now is apply all of our nibs. Since these are all marked and ready to go, instead of me making a jig on video and showing you how to do this, this is pretty self-explanatory to look at. This is like 3/8 of an inch roughly, and this is going to fit inside the chuck of my cordless drill. The cordless drill I'm just going to use as a stand. This is the 5/16, which will hold that, and then I can turn that and work on it and glue these down. And I'm just going to use clear nail polish as my adhesive. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So as you can see, the line right there on top. I'm just going to put that on the bottom, on the inside. Flip that over. Going almost to the end and then lining that up to the middle of that line. There. Now we'll just repeat that process all the way around on both the upper and the lower. And that should take a couple of days to do that. Okay, we have the nibs glued on here, and they look pretty good on the carbon fiber. And that's right along the very edge there on both. So the next step is to cast them. Okay, so now in order to cast these, we're going to need a jig. So how are we going to do that? Well, off camera, I turn these 1-inch Teflon pieces. This is the same 5/16. These are like bushings, like when you're doing regular pen turning using kits. So that's going to suspend that like that. This is going to hold both sides, so one clips in there, and then the other one is hooked up and ready to go. And now you can see how that's going to work inside the mold. So previously, this is a mold that I've always used, and you can see that it's pretty much done. So I made another one. Now this is the new mold I made, and you can see how I made that in a different video. This is much better looking. It's nice and flat. It doesn't look better on the sides, but I don't care how it looks on the sides. I only care about how it looks like inside. That's just going to fit inside there, and that's almost a perfect fit. A little gap right there, and I'm just going to backfill that with a little resin when I fill this up here, and then we can use that over for other operations as well. This will hold about 3 ounces of resin, and then I'm just going to mix that off camera, and then when it's ready I'll pour that in there. Okay, my stuff is mixed. I'm going to pour that in slowly over the top. That's about 3.5 ounces. I mixed just a little extra just in case. I think 3 ounces would have been fine though. But better safe than sorry. At least I'll know how much to mix for the next time. And unlike the last one I did before, I'm going to fill that little cavity on the side. I got a little bit left over, not very much, no big deal. Okay, so a little bit of spilling, no big deal. Now I'm going to put that inside my pressure tank. Okay, this is my pressure tank, and I've got an air relief valve on the back. It's made of ABS plastic. I've got a filler hose right here, and that's screwed in with Teflon. Now we'll just put some air in it real quick. Oh, that's 32. And we'll let that set. Okay, I just took this out of the pressure tank, and as you can see, there is no air bubbles. I just need to take it out of the mold and let it air dry the rest for a day or two before I take it out of those pieces. So tomorrow I will remove it from the white pieces, and we'll let that cure for a couple days before I could turn it. Okay, so these are the pieces that are out of the mold, and this stuff here got stuck to this where I literally had to take a handsaw, put a relief cut all the way around, put this in a vise, and then put a pair of, or not a pair, but a crescent wrench on this, and literally twist it to break it free. And in doing so, I chipped this one out here. There's probably enough meat left on that to work with, but that's not the big issue. The other issue is, even though I did this under pressure, upon closer look, you can see there's one air bubble, there's another air bubble, and then this one I think had there's an air bubble right there on the inside. So anyway, all that work on these, it's not really usable for the pen that I'm making. So these are going to have to take an acetone bath. I'll lose everything except the nibs, but that's just the way things go. But at $1 a piece, that's 18 nibs, that's 20 bucks. I'm not going to put in a pen that I can't sell, like my last one that I made. Okay, like I said in the previous video, like I said earlier, this is the first casting that we did. It had the air bubbles in it. It was pretty much fractured and tore up. Can't use those. Oops. So off camera I made another set. Again, this is the upper, this is the lower. Same exact method that you saw earlier. I did remember to put the oil this time on the Teflon, so that came off nicely. This has to cure for a couple days. I did clean that off with alcohol. So anyway, in a couple of days, I'll be able to turn that after this cures. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.